Falls is a group of three waterfalls at the southern end of Niagara Gorge, spanning the border between the province of Ontario in Canada and the state of New York in the United States. The largest of the three is Horseshoe Falls, also known as the Canadian Falls, which straddles the international borders of the two countries, Canada and America. The smaller American Falls and the Bridal Fall, or the Bridal Wheel Falls, lie within the United States. The Bridal Wheel Falls are separated from Horseshoe Falls by Goat Island and from the American Falls by the Luna Island, with both islands situated in New York. Located on the Niagara River, which drains Lake Erie into Lake Ontario, the combined falls have the highest flow rate of any waterfalls in North America and has a vertical drop of more than 50 meters. During the peak daytime tourist hours, more than 6 million cubic feet of water goes over the crest of the falls every minute. Imagine what a tourist can see. Horseshoe Falls is the most powerful waterfall in North America as measured by the flow rate. Now the falls are 27 kilometers northwest of Buffalo, New York, and 121 kilometers southeast of Toronto, between the twin cities of Niagara, Ontario, and Niagara Falls, New York. Niagara Falls was formed when glaciers receded at the end of the Wisconsin glaciation, the last ice age, and water from the newly formed Great Lakes carved a path through the Niagara escarpment en route to the Atlantic Ocean. So the Niagara Falls is important in two ways. It is famed both for its beauty and as a valuable source of hydroelectric power. Now, balancing recreational, commercial, and industrial uses has been a challenge for the stewards of the falls since the 19th century. Niagara Falls, Ontario is a Canadian city at the famous waterfalls of the same name, linked with the US by the Rainbow Bridge. This is very important. Its site on the Niagara River's western shore overlooks the Horseshoe Falls, the Cascades' most expansive section. Elevators take visitors to a lower, better vantage point behind the falls. So the Skylon Tower, a cliffside park, features a promenade alongside 520 feet high Skylon Tower with an observation deck. There are tons of Niagara Falls attractions you can visit, but if you only visit one during your vacation gateway, the Skylon Tower observation deck has to be it. A trip to the top of this world-famous attraction combines an exhilarating 52-second ride. I was pretty excited, with the awe of seeing Niagara from a height of 775 feet above the mighty falls. The moment I hopped aboard one of your yellow bug. Now the Skylon Tower, a cliffside park, features a promenade alongside 520 feet high Skylon Tower with an observation deck. There are tons of Niagara Falls attractions you can visit, of course, but if you only visit one during your vacation gateway, the Skylon Tower observation deck has to be it. A trip to the top of this world-famous attraction combines an exhilarating 52-second ride with the awe of seeing Niagara from 775 feet above the mighty falls. I agreed that the Skylon Tower is the highlight of our visit. From the indoor and the outdoor observation decks, I could marvel at once-in-a-lifetime views of the mighty Niagara Falls, the Great Gorge, the Niagara Wine District, the dazzling cityscape below the Toronto and Buffalo skylines. From this highest vantage point in Niagara, I could see 8,000 square miles of Canada and the US. At the night, of course, which I couldn't, one can marvel at the illumination of the falls. I did see that later on. The city lights far below in the seasonal falls of fireworks. The experience is rated as one of the top things to do when visiting this great Niagara Falls. Of course, I enjoyed what we call the Maid of the Mist. This is a must when you go to the Niagara Falls. Looking for a fun way to explore the roar? The Niagara Falls Maid of the Mist tour takes visitors on an excursion into the basin of the Niagara Falls State Park's Horseshoe Falls. The Maid of the Mist boat tour in Niagara Falls, New York has been described by generations of visitors as one of the highlights of their trip. A favorite Niagara Falls State Park attraction for more than 150 years, the Maid of the Mist journey begins at the observation tower, where the guests are given a souvenir rain poncho to wear and board the double-deck Maid of Mist tour boat. From there, the boat ferries past the base of the American Falls and onto the basin of the Horseshoe Falls, the dramatic passage leading you through the roiling waterfall, whitewater and massive rock formation. See it for yourself. The Maid of the Mist returns guests to shore with newfound appreciation of the power and the grandeur of the Niagara Falls. You can embrace the beauty of the Niagara Falls State Park and see the falls 365 a year, they say. We are open round the year according to them. The Maid of the Mist operates the boat ride on the US side of the Niagara Falls in Niagara Falls, New York. The Maid of the Mist boats will take you from the docks past the base of the American Falls, then into the basin of the magnificent Canadian Horseshoe Falls. Now, there's a question. The biggest difference between a hornblower Niagara cruise and the Maid of the Mist, often asked, of course. Let me tell you here. The hornblower cruise is a boat tour in Niagara Falls, Canada, and the Maid of the Mist docks on the American side, literally across the river from each other. So the other question is, which is the best time to visit the Niagara Falls? Well, from November to December, winter festivals of lights. From November 14th to January, the events Discover Canada's prime illumination festival in Niagara Falls. The Maid of the Mist that I just talked about is from mid-May to October. So the Maid of the Mist since 1846 and then continuously since 1885, imagine, the Maid of the Mist vessels powered by the steam and diesel engines have carried millions of passengers to the base of the Niagara Falls for an iron knock. Since 1846 and continuously since 1885, the Maid of the Mist vessels powered by steam and diesel engines have carried millions of passengers to the base of the Niagara Falls for an iconic up-close view of one of the wonders of the world. Now, the Horseshoe Falls drop about 57 meters, while the height of the American Falls varies between 21 to 30 meters because of the presence of giant boulders at its base. The larger Horseshoe Falls are about 790 meters wide, while the American Falls are 320 meters wide. The distance between the American extremity of the Niagara Falls and the Canadian Falls is 3,409 feet between the two falls. The peak flow over the Horseshoe Falls was recorded as 6,400 cubic feet per second, but if you look at the average annual flow rate, it's 2,400 cubic meters per second. Now, since the flow is a direct function of the Lake Erie water elevation, it typically peaks in late spring or summer, of course. During the summer months, at least 2,800 cubic meters per second of water traverses the falls, some 90% of which goes over the Horseshoe Falls, while the balance is of course diverted to the hydroelectric facility. That's very important. This is accomplished by employing a weir, the International Control Dam, with movable gates upstream from the Horseshoe Falls. Now, the falls flow is further halved at night. It's much less. And during the low tourist season in winter, remains a minimum per second. The verdant green color of the water flowing over the Niagara Falls is a byproduct of the estimated 60 tons of dissolved salts and rock flour generated by the erosive force of the Niagara River itself. The Niagara Falls International Rainbow Bridge, commonly known as the Rainbow Bridge, which you can see in my backdrop, is an arch bridge across the Niagara River Gorge. Now, this bridge connects the cities of Niagara Falls, New York, the United States, and Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada. This is an important bridge, and it has an important location. Now, what people believe is that the features that became Niagara Falls were created by Wisconsin glaciation about 10,000 years ago. The retreat of the ice sheet left behind a large amount of meltwater that filled up the basins basins that the glaciers had carved, thus creating the Great Lakes as we know them today. The scientists argue there's an old valley, St. David's Buried Gorge, buried by the glacial drift at approximate location of the present Welland Canal. Now, one thing that makes the fall, the Great Niagara Fall, beautiful are the rainbows. Usually, we see rainbows when the sunlight and rain combine to spread a spectrum of colors in the sky. As the sunlight travels through the water in the raindrops, it reflects the colors that we usually see as rainbow. So a rainbow can also form in many waterfalls, and Niagara, of course, is one of the biggest ones. When the sun shines brightly during the day, you can see lovely rainbows forming at the falls. In this case of Niagara, the rainbow is formed as a result of the mist in the air around the falls. You can see that yourself. They are absolutely amazing. The Niagara Falls flows down the great height and it crashes into the river below. It releases mist or tiny water droplets. Since the huge volumes of water are continuously flowing down, the mist remains suspended in the air around the falls. So when sunlight passes through the mist, it results in the formation of very pretty rainbows over the falls. Of course, you can also have many rainbows at the same time. You can also spot secondary rainbows or twin rainbows. The double reflection of sunlight in the misty water results in formation of sometimes two rainbows. But these are, of course, lighter in color than the original ones. All you need is a good vantage position and you can be assured to see some of the most admirable rainbows you've ever seen. So while at the Niagara, the other thing I tried were the Falls Incline Railway. Originally known as the Horseshoe Falls Incline, is a funicular railway in the city of Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada. It is located beside Niagara Falls at the Horseshoe Falls. Now, this line was built in 1966 for the Niagara Parks Commission by the Swiss company called Von Roll. It adopted its current name in the 1980s. Originally built with open-air cars, it was rebuilt in 2013 and 2013 with enclosed cars to permit year-round operation. That's pretty useful. Now, unlike the other incline railways at Niagara Falls, the Falls Incline was not built to descend into the Niagara Gorge below the falls. Instead, it links the Table Rock Center and journey behind the falls. On the Niagara Parkway, just above the falls to the higher level, now Falls View tourist areas is the one that you go to, including the Minolta Tower, the Niagara Falls View Casino Resort, and of course several hotels. Now, in the area of the Niagara Falls, I stayed at the Oaks Hotel, and I must tell you, it would be very unfair not to put in a word for the Oaks Hotel, which is an absolutely amazing place if you want to write a blog, make a video, and the observatory was absolutely spectacular. The view was excellent. So I would always promote people. I would always talk about Oaks Hotel as one of the best places to stay if you really are going in for just the Niagara Falls. So I hope you have enjoyed this video of one of the greatest falls, both connecting the American side and the Canadian side, the Niagara Falls. And if you have enjoyed this session of almost like 15 to 16 minutes, kindly subscribe to my channel so that I will continue to update you on the more informative and intriguing videos that are going to follow this one.